Welcome to this video on mastering the AP Seminar Exam Part A. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to analyze an author's argument at the level required for a high-scoring AP Seminar Part A response. This involves analytical thinking about how and why an argument works, by identifying the main claim, tracing the line of reasoning, analyzing evidence, and evaluating effectiveness. Part A asks you to read and analyze a single stimulus text. Your job is to examine the argument, explain how it's built, and evaluate its effectiveness. Remember, this is analysis of how the argument works, not just a summary of what it says. High-scoring responses demonstrate a structural and analytical understanding. This means clearly identifying the main argument, explaining how it works through its logical structure, using specific evidence from the text, and evaluating its effectiveness by acknowledging strengths and limitations. Every strong Part A response follows three essential moves. Move 1, identify the main claim. Move 2, explain how the argument is built, including reasoning and evidence. And Move 3, evaluate how effective the argument is by looking at its strengths and limitations. Move 1 is identifying the main claim. What is the author trying to prove? This is the central, specific, and arguable position. To find it, look at the opening and closing paragraphs and ask what the author wants you to believe. The line of reasoning describes how the argument unfolds logically, providing the connective tissue between the claim and the evidence. Common structures include cause/effect, problem/solution, and comparison. Evidence is what supports the claims. You must identify the kind of evidence and explain its function. Types of evidence include statistics, studies, expert opinions, and examples. Reasoning is the analytical move that explains how and why evidence proves the claim, connecting it to the main argument. This is called commentary and is crucial for a high score. Ask yourself why the evidence matters and how it connects. Evaluating effectiveness moves your response from competent to excellent. A strong evaluation acknowledges both strengths and limitations. Strengths include specific evidence and addressing counterarguments, while limitations may involve bias or missing viewpoints. Use the full sentence model to combine all three moves into one powerful analytical statement. The author argues that claim by using evidence/reasoning to show reasoning move, which is effective because evaluation. Avoid these common mistakes: summary instead of analysis, listing evidence without reasoning, ignoring reasoning, and no evaluation. Reasoning is the most heavily weighted skill, and evaluation is necessary for top scores. An active annotation strategy helps you think analytically before writing. Mark the main claim, supporting claims, evidence, reasoning sentences, and any weaknesses or gaps in the argument. Use this 5-sentence response frame to structure a complete, high-scoring response. Main claim, line of reasoning, evidence, reasoning, and evaluation. Internalize this pattern for exam day. In practice, start by annotating the passage using the full symbol key. Then, draft your response by working through the full response frame sentence by sentence, focusing on the author's argument, structure, specific evidence, function, and overall effectiveness. Let's apply these steps to an AP-style passage about social media and productivity. The core task is to identify the claim, trace the reasoning, and evaluate its effectiveness. A high-scoring response on social media and productivity clearly states the claim and identifies the cause and effect reasoning. It uses specific evidence, like the statistic of checking phones 96 times a day, and offers a balanced evaluation of both the argument's strength and its limitations. Here are two more AP-style passages, one on urban green spaces and another on online learning. For the green spaces passage, the author builds a benefits-based argument, citing research on stress reduction, and addresses counterarguments. For online learning, the argument focuses on accessibility and flexibility, but is limited by a lack of depth on learning outcomes. Now it's time for independent practice. Read the passage and write a complete analytical response without the sentence frames. Focus on clarity and precision. First, annotate the passage, then state the claim precisely, explain the reasoning, and evaluate with balance, addressing both a strength and a limitation. Here is the passage from Richard P. Feynman, The Uncertainty of Its Science. Take your time to read and annotate the text, focusing on the author's central claim regarding doubt and uncertainty in science. This page is intentionally blank to allow you time to complete your full analytical response for the practice passage. Remember the 3 essential moves: identifying the claim, tracing the reasoning and evidence, and evaluating the effectiveness.